There's a new book out, came out, yesterday, day before? It's called Getting America Back to Work. Please welcome back to the program, Andrew F. Puzder. Andy, how are you?
Great to be here, Larry. Thank you. I'm good.
Boy, Andy, so much to talk about. Let's assume that Mr. Puzder was still CEO of CKE Restaurants. This pandemic hits. What measures do you take to protect your employees, to protect your workers, to protect your customers, employees and customers?
Well, the first thing we do, obviously the first thing the restaurants did and we would do is we ended up having to close dining rooms so people wouldn't communicate the disease. But luckily, with Hardee's and Carl's Jr., which are the brands that were owned by CK, we have drive-thrus, which are very safe.
Mm-hmm.
People could do curb service if they wanted, and all of the restaurants have third-party delivery services like Uber Eats or DoorDash. So there were alternatives. If I were running the company, I would have advertised those service alternatives above even what products we have or what prices we sold products for, just so people knew that they could continue to eat safely from the restaurants. They didn't have to mingle socially and put themselves at risk.
Now, Andy, this next question is not that far-fetched. You are this close to becoming the President's Secretary of Labor. He turns to you as Secretary of Labor and says, Andy, what the hell do I do? And you would have said?
Then or now?
Back then.
Back then?
Yeah, back then. We're talking about now. We're talking about when the World Health Organization determined that it was a pandemic, and we really recognize how serious this thing is. President Trump now turns to you and says, Andy, what do we do? Do we shut down America? Do we order governors to shut down America? Do we suggest that we should shut down? What do we do, Andy? You're a business guy. You're the kind of person who's running a business where there are a lot of employees that come in contact with people where arguably your kind of employee is at a greater risk of COVID-19 than other people. So please tell me, I'm President Trump, what I should do. What would you have said, Andy?
Well, the safest thing to do, and the original estimate that came out of Great Britain was that 2.2 million Americans were going to die. And
right.
The administration was giving that credibility at first. If there was a chance 2.2 million Americans were going to die from this thing, I would say we needed to shut down.
Mm-hmm.
In retrospect, we probably didn't need to shut down as much as we did. But at the time, I understand why the decision was made. I probably would have gone along with it.
Mm-hmm. Andy, are you troubled by the president's use of the Defense Production Act? He used it to apparently pressure GM to making masks, as opposed to companies voluntarily stepping up for the good of the country?
Well, a lot of companies were stepping up.
Right.
It's tough if you're not sitting behind that desk in the Oval Office to go back and look at these decisions. But I think at the time he believed it was an emergency for the country, and much as Roosevelt did during World War II, where he had Chrysler and Ford and GM. Matter of fact, the CEO of GM took over production under the Defense Act. I would say that I would prefer that he hadn't had to do it, but apparently he felt he had to do it. So it's I'd be second guessing at this point. But the good news is we certainly got enough ventilators out of the process.
My guest is Andy Puzder. His book, Getting Back to America to Work, just now came out a couple of days ago. Here's my fear, Andy. We don't develop a vaccine. We keep hearing the experts say between 12 and 18 months, but there was never a vaccine for H1N1. There is no vaccine for the virus that causes AIDS. There's no effective treatment anytime soon. We don't have the testing that they want, at least not yet. And maybe, just maybe, the infection may not even confer lasting immunity. So I know that's worst case scenario, but when you look at those possibilities and then you look at how we shut down the country, I'm not sure what we ought to do.
Well, I tell you, there's really not a lot of choice. If we keep the country shut down to the extent that it was shut down over the past 3-4 weeks, I think the results are going to be much worse than if we opened it up. Even if you're obviously going to have some mortality with this. It's not as bad as people thought it was originally, but there's going to be some. But you can't. I mean, we have to be able to feed people. We have to be able to pay our policemen, pay our firemen. We have to be able to pay the people who pick up the garbage. I mean, we have to continue to function as a society and a civilization. The government can't substitute itself for the economy for any extended period of time. Now, I think they've done a great job of shutting the economy down, trying to level that bell curve and doing things such as the CARES Act and the Paycheck Protection Act, and the checks that went out to individuals to try and keep the economy alive. This was survival mode for the period of the shutdown. But eventually, you see it in various states. I'm in Tennessee, and our governor opened up 89 of the 96.
20 seconds, Andy. 20 seconds.
The 6 that aren't open are just where they're in metropolitan areas. But so far, people have responded to it very positively. So I think we need to start opening things back up if we're going to survive.
Andy Puzder has been my guest. The book is Getting America Back to Work. Andy, as always, thank you very much for taking the time.